I used to consider April and May the best months out of the year to catch big bass, but in the last couple years, that's changed. Each season, I've experimented by getting on the water earlier and earlier, and what I've learned is that giant female bass pull up much sooner than most people expect. And today, I'm going to share with you the 3 best lures to catch the fish of a lifetime. Let's get into it. The first lure that excels in the month of March is the Magdraft. This 6-inch swim bait has the perfect size, profile, and action to catch fish all the way from 2 pounds to double digits. One of the things that makes the Magdraft a really good choice is its versatility. It can be fished on main lake or secondary points where bass stage before they head back into spawning pockets. But it can also be fished on spawning flats in less than 5 feet of water. When fishing deep rock, I prefer an exposed jig head, and my jig head of choice is the 3/0 Picasso Smartmouth jig head in 1/4 to 1/2 ounce. This setup works really well for those pre-spawn fish on partially cloudy days, especially when those bass are holding tight to those rocks and using shadows to ambush their cover. When fishing the Magdraft on cloudy, windy days, I like to fish it on a 7/0 1/2 ounce beast hook. When using this setup, I like to throw it in shallow flats with standing timber or back in spawning pockets, always trying to keep it above their head. For colors, I like the white back shad in clean water and the white pearl shad in dingy to dirty water. My rod of choice is a 7'9" Dobbins Champion XPN Heavy with a 7:2 to 1 gear ratio reel and 20-pound fluorocarbon. The second bait that really excels in March has been around for over 70 years, the spinnerbait. But the spinnerbait that I'm throwing is a little bit different than what everyone else is throwing on the lake. Spinnerbaits do very well on cloudy, windy days and make an excellent 1-2 punch with that Magdraft. That's because my spinnerbait of choice is a 3/4 ounce spinnerbait with double willow blades. Most anglers are throwing a 1/4 to 1/2 ounce spinnerbait, but I really like that bigger 3/4 ounce spinnerbait to get it as deep in the water as possible where those bass are not used to seeing it. As I mentioned, the spinnerbait pairs really well with the Magdraft, but more specifically the Magdraft on that beast hook. This is because I can target those fish in less than 5 feet with the Magdraft while targeting those deeper bass that suspend on the edge of trees and creek channels with the spinnerbait. The double willow blades on the spinnerbait create less drag than a Colorado or Indiana blade, allowing it to get as deep as possible. My preferred spinnerbait is a Revenge Deep Runner spinnerbait, but since they don't exist anymore, now I buy the Megabass SV3. The gear I'm fishing on is a 7'6" medium heavy rigged rod on a 7:2 to 1 gear ratio reel with 17-pound test. Even though we would all prefer to power fish the entire month of March, sometimes the weather calls for something a little bit more subtle, and that's when the finesse jig is going to come into play. The finesse jig is my go-to on those tough spring days where you just cannot buy a bite. It's very subtle and compact, while still drawing those bites from giant bass. When the sun gets up high on those post-frontal days, bass will hide on rocky bluffs, shallow drop-offs, and sparse cover. Soaking your finesse jig in these 3 high percentage areas will force bass to strike at what they think is an easy meal. For my jig colors and my trailers, I keep it extremely simple. I like a 3/8 ounce green pumpkin ball-headed jig, with my preferred trailer being the Yamamoto double-tailed grub. The gear I'm fishing on is a 7'6" medium heavy rigged rod with a 7:2 to 1 gear ratio reel and 17-pound test. In the description below, I'll link a couple videos of how to fish these baits if you all are interested. Thank you all so much for watching. Subscribe for more content to come, and I cannot wait to see you all in the next one.